has been sentenced to death. And I must draw your attention, it was a 3-judge bench decision of the Supreme Court in Buller's case. I must draw your attention to one judge, M.B. Shah, who dissented. And Justice Shah said, the entire conviction hangs on a thread. It hangs on a confession made to a police officer, where apparently there's a thumb impression of Buller on his confession. There is no forensic evidence against him. The only evidence is that statement made to a police officer, which under Indian law is not admissible in evidence. It was only admissible in evidence under that treacherous act called TADA, the Terrorist and Disruptive Activities Act, TADA. For a very short period of time while that act was in force, confessions to police officers were admissible as evidence. And in that short window, Buller's statement was apparently taken with his thumb impression. And on that basis, he is to be sent to the gallows. M.B. Shah said, not only is the issue of the death penalty one before us, I would say, said Justice Shah, that this man deserves to be acquitted. He cannot be convicted on this kind of specious kind of evidence. And M.B. Shah made a sterling dissent in that judgment. Buller's case will also be now fought in the Supreme Court before a larger bench. Times are very difficult and it looks the road ahead seems very hard. But we hope to have some good news in case the matter goes before a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court. It is possible, there's a remote possibility, but there is a possibility that Buller may get some good news in the time to come. Now this is pretty bad news as far as India is concerned. We are going through a very difficult period. I've told you about the poverty, I've told you about the violence. But the silver lining in the cloud, so to speak, or the positive thing about India is that we have an army of volunteers and activists, social activists right throughout India. It is the joy of India. It is actually India's spirit. It's the heart of India that despite such suffering, thousands and thousands of young people, Sikhs, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, Islam activists, women's activists, lawyers, doctors, large sections of society struggle against this oppression. It's a very difficult struggle because in the world outside you see India as a shining, wonderful country, doing so well with such a wonderful growth rate and so on. It's very hard for foreigners. It's very hard for Americans, for Europeans, and for people outside to understand how can it be that a country which is supposed to be shining, a country that's supposed to be doing so well, how can it be that this country has such a dark side to it? And we must change that dark side. We have an army of volunteers, an army of activists, an army of people who struggle. Despite all the odds, we struggle to change the system. We want a system where economic progress goes hand in hand with morality. We want a system where economic progress goes hand in hand with social responsibility. You can't say the market will provide. To people who are earning $50 a day, you can't say the market will give you education, the market will give you medicines, the market will give you food. There is a state responsibility to look after its people. That was the ideology in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the social democratic model of society. Today, in globalization, we've gone to a very different model of money, power, wealth, greed, corruption. It's a very different model. And we have to struggle collectively to bring India back onto the track of social democracy. India is the largest democracy in the world. If it goes in the direction it is going today, it will split. There will be unrest, there will be violence, there will be turbulence, there will never be peace. You cannot have peace with a large part of your population so unhappy, so restless, so angry, so frustrated. You can never have peace. In this democracy, you want peace. You can't have everybody equal, I understand, but you must try and take your country along with you, as was the principle some time back. For the Sikhs who are in Canada, what can you do? You have actually built a life for yourselves here. This is a beautiful country. This is really a country with a thriving democracy, and you have participated in that democracy and made it richer and better. But I would say you still have a job in the Punjab and in India. You must reach out to your roots and to the places from where you have come. And you must join the struggle in India against oppression. And as you were fearless in your business and your work, you must be fearless in your support of human rights. You must engage with the Punjab again. Today, the knock on the door at midnight is the same as before. Catching you by your collar, handcuffing you, putting a hood over your head at night is the same as before. Parents not knowing where your child has been taken, to which police station, where he has gone, with the police not bothering to answer, is the same as before. The only difference is the bullet in the head, that has gone down, those numbers have gone down, but the terror is the same as before. And we must intervene. We must help. We must give political support. We must give social and moral support in some way. I really don't know the answer to this question. But we must engage with Punjab and India and strengthen the democratic rights process. We must look at the young in the Sikh community and in the Indian community as a whole. The young students. My colleague with whom I'm staying said this afternoon, we will never let our children forget. We will never let our children forget. They will not forget. They will not forget. And we must bring up a generation of people guided by that spirit that justice must be done. And if you have to fight for justice, we will fight, but we will see that justice is done. And therefore nurture your students, both in Canada and in India. And tell the student community what happened in '84, what happened in '92 to the Muslims, what happened in 2002 to the Muslims in Gujarat, and what happened in 2007 to the Christians. Because no country in this world today has the terrible record of genocide, has the terrible record of repeated genocide that our great and wonderful democratic India has. No country has this awful record. And it's time we take the camouflage away. It's time we tear the camouflage down and say this is the real India. We're not interested in denigrating India. We love our country. We want to make it a great and powerful country. We believe India can be one of the greatest democracies in the world, apart from being a great economy. India can be the greatest democracy in the world. We have the people. We have the spirit. We have the ideology, we have the spiritualism, we have the courage, and we have the tradition of martyrdom, where we can die for a cause. We have everything to make our nation a great democracy. Therefore, my dear friends, remember, the tide will turn. It is only a matter of time. Society as it is structured today in our country will not last. This tide will turn. Better times will come. Justice will be done. I hope in my time justice will be done. I'm not so young as I used to be, but I hope in my time justice will be done. And I think India will be, in the years to come, a great, a truly great nation. Thank you very much.